Hey Tenno, this is Mako, and we're gonna go over Oberon Prime today. Now, my original Oberon build was kind of just how I played him before his rework. Not really much has changed for me, honestly, but with Oberon Prime, he has a couple other factors. Now, one of his big benefits is this huge energy pool. With Prime Flow, you're literally over 740%. Now, if you wanted to further increase that, you can always grab an Exilus Endurance and just throw that in there, and you're almost at 100. Now, granted, he's pretty fun. So, of this build, this is just me playing around. You could switch this out for Steel Charge, and overall, he's pretty balanced, I would say, overall, in terms of comparing him to his original setup, where you're pretty much using all his powers, but they weren't really effective. And it became a real skill gap type of frame. Now, of this build, the slot here with the Hallowed Reckoning is really your open slot. You can pretty much do whatever you want, or switch this out for Hallowed Eruption, Phoenix Renewal. I find this one pretty pointless, because all the other powers guarantee radiation proc, so this one is kind of pointless. You know, don't see the point. I didn't need fleeting expertise like I normally would when I used to play regular Oberon. Because of the huge energy pool with Streamline and Rage, he's always got enough. So mainly this time I focus on power, so that's why I did Growing Power, Power Drift, Intensify. That gives me a pretty good power strength range from 145% to, I think, 70%, 170%. Man. So more of his tanking kind of defensive capabilities come in here. Now, if you're not familiar with the new Oberon setup, let's just grab an enemy and bump him up to 135 and see how this rolls. So I'll start this off like you've never played Oberon before, you know? So how do you play Oberon? Well, first power is probably the big gun right here. What this power does is you can shoot range, deal multiple hits in, and now it scales. Basically, it takes the health of the type of enemy you hit at whatever level they are and uses it against them and the group. The other thing it produces is radiation and weaken. Weaken reduces the enemy damage at least by 30%. You also get a guaranteed knockdown with it. Third power grants you health and a bit of, you know, some decent regenerative capabilities here. Fourth power is mainly where I'm gonna CC a huge area. It also does a blind, but it's out to the outer edges, and even with a good duration, it's worthless. I mean, you can just sit here and spam burst power and deal a whole bunch of damage. Now, if you combine this with some sort of radiation, viral, or even a condition overload, you can just quickly start making work of enemies here. Now, with his new rework comes the alteration of his kits. When you cast your second power and then your third power, you get this buff of armor. Now, as you can see, is that buff great? Not really. It's better than it was, let's not lie. But overall, is it still going to save your butt against a 145? Not really. They'll still turn into Swiss cheese, even with armor buffing. Now, with 290 right now, if I get myself some of this going, and I redo it, I'm at 340, so that's a little nicer. Thank you, Power Drift. And Growing Power. 340 armor buffed up on you. Oh, and by the way, yes, my CC kill trick still works. So, as you just saw, it works. It's pretty simple. You just spam the enemies in the air, and then hit them with the second power. That worked in the previous Oberon, and it still works with the current one. Call me hilariously laughing when I can kill anything in one shot. Well, I should technically say two, because you have to cast the powers. Now, one of the things I like about the fourth power's augment is this little tiny thing here. It adds more radiation. Now, the fourth power scales up with more rad procs on your target. Also, you can hide in here and get some more armor buff, as you see. Now, when you have the third and fourth power cast on each other, you get the armor buff that's before. Well, if you decast your third power, it stays up there for a short duration of time. With me, that's a few seconds. That's like literally half a minute, about 30 seconds. It's pretty useful. Now, my Oberons, I've always been this type of spam ability when I know I'm about to die. So, I mean, nothing's really changed with how you would play Oberon from before to now. You just constantly hit them. Now, as you see, I can do some serious damage. That was pretty nice, as you can tell. The only thing I really don't like about this kit is with the second power when you cast it does this wide array, but it doesn't do anything behind you. Let me try to get to an area I have not covered in my greenness. That came out wrong. So when I cast this, look behind me here. You're not really standing on hollow ground when you cast it, but it does technically trigger, so I don't know why that works. It's odd. I'd still recommend the Galatine Prime with him. I do like playing with bows with him, but I don't like the singular bow, so the Senros Prime is actually pretty effective with him. You can hit multiple enemies. Never really have a secondary favorite. So think of this as like a template build, how to go with it. If you want to further do damage with your melee, I'd suggest Condition, because with Oberon you've got a guaranteed radiation and weaken proc going on. And that's really all she wrote. I mean, gameplay performance, I really haven't changed. So, enjoy your Oberon Prime, and thanks for watching. See you guys later.